I'm Matt Ashity from RottenTomatoes.com, and you're watching Open the Fridge.
Defiance is kind of a modern-day Western tale. I mean, what really drew you to this show?
The character, mate. Fell in love with the character from the beginning. You know, I've always looked for a guy to play that's at the center of a story, center of a series, a good one, you know, because you're going to tie yourself to it for 7 years. You want it to be good. But also who's the same type of character I love playing. Now, usually those guys, they come in, they get their boots very muddy, they kick everything around very, very hard, and they have to get killed. It's the only way that most of my characters can exit anything. So the fact that I found Nolan, who is exactly that character, but manages to live through every episode, is just a bonus. You know, I like the guy who kind of kicks all the toys apart and says, you know, let's have a good, you know, hard look at this and what's going on. You know, I love that character. So that was a huge draw. And then what you just alluded to, you know, we've got this amazing mix of science fiction, post-apocalyptic, Mad Max-esque, Western immigrant frontier type story. And it's actually seamless. You know, there's no point at Defiance where you go, oh, hold on, the sci-fi part ended and the Western part began. It actually is just, it's seamless. It works. It's that world. And that I'd never seen before.
With everything that went down this season, especially in the season finale, where do you hope these characters go in the next season?
I think where Kevin Murphy's left it is genius, in the sense that we've established who all these people are, and we've established their comfort zones. We've also established their ambitions and what they look for in life. And then what we've done is we've gotten the Acme TNT and blown it all up, and now we can start season 2 with them all as far as humanly possible away from what those things are. And that's a good place to start a second season, I think.
Has Stacco become a part of your everyday life?
Yeah, Stacco is definitely a part of my life. And the other one, because I'm Australian, I'm very rude, is Chup, which we haven't quite got a hold of in our Defiance lingo yet. Chup. I don't give a chup. Chup that. Yeah.
All right, and also the other aspect of the show is obviously the game input. Has that really come to influence any of the storylines yet? I know there's been some correlations between like the plague and things like that. Do you see that evolving more as the show goes on?
Absolutely. The synthesis we're after with the game and the show, really we had to get both up. So in the first season of the show, yes, it's there. You know, there's that confluence of events. There's the Razor Rain moving across from the game into the show, and the Hellbugs moving back from show into game. There's some character stuff. My character and Arissa going out of game into show. Rin going from show into game and back again. So we do have those elements in the first season. But really, we had to get each up. It's very, very important. And so, you know, in between Series 1 of the show and Series 2 of the show, the game is capitalizing on all the work we did in the first season, but also seeding stuff for second season. And now that both of these things are actually up and exist, and the game world is pervasive and open to our audience 24 hours a day, that's where we can really start to see the moves forward. So I'm incredibly excited about, you know, moving into season 2 into the show with the game stuff, because I think now we've got these two foundations, these two platforms to actually play and have a sandbox from.
What drew you to Defiance? Was it the modern Western aspect, the sci-fi aspect? What was really most important to you?
Definitely the sci-fi Western aspect. I mean, I'm a big sci-fi fan, so when I first read the pilot, the script, I was just glued to it, and it's exactly the type of show that I'm a fan of. So the fact that I get to be on it and play with these characters is a dream come true. And you know what, watching the show, I kind of relish the scenes that I'm not in, because I get to like just enjoy the show as a fan and watch like these amazing professionals do their job so well. So yeah, I really get to enjoy the show just because I'm a fan of that genre.
Now, with Alok, he went through a decent amount of stuff this season, especially with getting married and everything like that. Where do you want your character to go in the next season and going forward?
Well, I read the first 3 scripts, and he's definitely has to take up the mantle of the crime lord, if you will, of the town, and he's got some big shoes to fill. And we get to see kind of the pressures involved with taking over that job, and we get to see how he and Stama kind of deal with a Defiance sans d'attaque. So. Yeah, it's very exciting, and it seems like a lot of pressure for one kid, who's a husband now. Yeah, maybe it's before his time. Maybe it's a little too early for him to be dealing with some of these issues. But regardless, he's kind of thrusted into them, and yeah, it's very exciting.
He has a very eclectic taste in music. If you could pick like a Comic-Con playlist of stuff he would want, what type of stuff would you pick?
I don't know, probably a lot of 80s music. He's a big fan of the 80s music. Yeah.
I've been told to come and
What?
join in.
Who's this?
I'm gate crashing, is that alright?
She's photobombing me. Interview.
Continue.
We're talking about the music and Alex's favorite music, and I was
Oh,
saying
wow.
a lot of 80s influence, I'd say. Yeah. I think it's reflected in his clothing style as well. He wears some clothes that looks like a paint bucket threw up on him, and dyed his hair, and so yeah, he's very childlike in that sense. You know, he's a fun teen who likes to be like the bad boy almost. So yeah, and I think that's reflected in his music taste and his style as well.
That's true.
Well, speaking of style, I mean, you guys both have.
Speaking of style.
That was a nice segue. That's a segue.
You guys have like some of the most intricate costumes on the show. I mean, how long did it take to get into that, the makeup and the prosthetics and everything?
Takes a long time.
Yeah, and almost as long to take it off as well. Yeah, so kind of, yeah, the prosthetic takes a couple of hours and you're...
I find it very therapeutic, actually, putting on the makeup. It's pretty calm, you know, like it's and we talked about it earlier, it's kind of like putting on armor, you know?
Yeah.
I kind of feel like I'm becoming like a superhero or something when I get the makeup put on.
It's true, until it's all together, you don't really feel like the character, so it kind of, yeah, I can't do any of my stunts until I've got my costume on, and then I'm fine. But, yeah.
She can't do anything without the costume.
yeah.
She doesn't know how to punch,
Yeah.
she like does this.
And then suddenly my costume goes on and I'm invincible.
And then she's holding the
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'd ask Jesse, but both of your characters, especially even at the end of the season with Arissa and jumping into whatever that glowing thing was,
What was that going through?
went through a lot this season. I mean, where do you want your character to go in the next season?
I think there's been huge changes, to say the least. So I think that Arissa won't be coming back as Arissa as you know her. I think it's been left in such a place that she's, you're not going to recognise. I think a lot of the characters in season 2, I think there's going to be huge changes. The whole piece gets quite darker, and I feel like we've kind of embedded the characters in season 1. Everybody knows who they are, but I think there'll be complete changes, and I think it'll be quite nerve-wracking for us all in a way, because it feels like going back to a new place, and the whole Defiance is expanding. We're not just staying in the town anymore. There's LA, and you find characters all over the place. So,
And even the town of Defiance looks very different now because of the E-Rep who's taking control of the town. It's still the same town, but it's got this like kind of like a George Orwell book kind of feeling to it.
a real edge
It kind
to
of
it.
feels like you're always being watched, and yeah.
yeah.
So real quick, I got to wrap up, but my last question is, Stacco is a big part of this show. It's become kind of fans of obviously latched on to that like they have with the other shows like Frack and things like that. Has it ever creeped into your regular life with like?
All the time, actually. Even,
Yeah, how do you do Stacco?
yeah, how do you Stacco?
Yeah, how do you Stacco? That's a question that we
Yeah,
got.
somebody asked me that earlier. How do I Stacco? And I was like, I don't know how to answer that. But yeah, I feel like, in fact, even some of my friends I've noticed go to say it, and that really kind of it warms my heart in a way. Like it's kind of it's one of those words that have stuck.
It's a word that everyone in the town, we all have that in common.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know what language Stacco that word
that's so
comes
funny.
from, what alien language, but it's a word that I think
We all use.
Yeah, we all use, and it's evolved, I think, through our town, and so that word kind of like links everyone together.
Yeah, that's the linking word. Stacco.
Yeah, Stacco brings us together.
Yeah.
I gotta let you guys go, but thank you